Hey everyone, I'm Kristen, the cross stitching runner, and welcome to my channel. I want to say a big hello and welcome to all new and returning viewers. And if by chance you've stumbled across this channel is all about cross stitch with a bit of life stuff thrown in. And today is Saturday the 8th of November, and I will try not to grumble too much. The tablets for hay fever have finally started kicking in and are working. The weather is a bit unsettled today here in Canberra, where it's predicted to have these mini bursts of rain, possibly thunder, that kind of thing. The microphone and such may not pick up those sounds too much, but we will potentially be impacted, or may be impacted, by the change in light. So I haven't looked at our BOM or Bureau of Meteorology app just too recently, so who knows when the next set of rumblings are due to happen. However, we are here for cross stitch, and I am looking forward to sharing with you my progress, because I have a finish. It was one that was not scheduled to be a finish for this week, let alone this year. However, some threads that I'd ordered between now and when we last caught up, they arrived in the mail, and I really wanted to use some of those threads for a piece that I started this year, and we'll get to see what that is. Before we get to that finish, I do want to share with you my progress on some other pieces that I've been working on in alignment with the AFL Stitching Challenge that I have been setting for myself for the last few years. And if this is the first episode of my channel that you're watching, the very brief, I guess, synopsis background of the challenge that I'm doing for myself is very similar to what you may have heard about for the gridiron grind that is in the Full Coverage Fanatics Facebook group that had been started up by Kim Hollenbach. And I guess the AFL is the Australian Football League, and it is something that I have found to be super helpful for seeing progress on a number of projects that I'm working on. And I'm also excited that I saw on TV this morning that the first few rounds of the fixture for next year has been released, and I'll be able to talk a bit more about that towards the end of this episode, but it will have an impact on the stitching that I want to do for next year. It'll help me with at least planning what I want to do, how I want to go about it, and allow for any changes that I may do with that. Okay, let's really get into the stitching now. Thank you so much for your patience on this one. The first piece that I want to share with you is a piece called Pisces. It's a personal project that is a combo of a picture that I saw on the internet a few years ago, as well as a quote, and I've merged them together. This particular page is a very poor cover page of what it will roughly look like when it's done. When I printed this page, the ink, as we can see, was starting to run out, and also the quote doesn't show up very well, which can be a good thing and a bad thing depending on what headspace I'm in at the time. And the quote says, "Pisces, not everyone gets the same version of me. One person will tell you I'm a beautiful soul. Another will tell you I'm a cold-hearted asshole. Believe both. I act accordingly." and I have put roughly 200 stitches into this, perhaps more, and I have focused mostly towards the bottom where we see some of the brighter blue stitching. I am stitching this on what I believe to be 28 count even weave. I'm stitching this 2/2 using DMC threads. It is also something where I'm modifying the pattern as I'm stitching, because when I first started stitching, I was used to working on a few other projects where it was 2/2, and I had charted this with the intention of stitching at 1/1. My plans and how I physically stitching didn't marry up, so it'll be interesting to see the progress of this particular piece as I get further ahead. Okay, also before I move on to the next piece, I'll just grab this back. Pisces fits in with the AFL Stitching Challenge in terms of its colours. I have assigned this piece to the Port Adelaide Power. Their team colours, especially when playing at home by memory. Anyway, team colours are this really cool, vibrant blue. I think it might even have some teals to it. The colours have also got like a grey silver look and some white, so all cool. Okay, the next piece that I have to share with you is called Fight Like a Girl. I still have a lot of stitching that I need to put into this piece, I guess in alignment with the plans that I've set for the AFL Stitching Challenge. So Fight Like a Girl, this is roughly what it will look like when it's finished. I have assigned to it at least 3 teams, partly due to the colours that are in Fight Like a Girl, and also the actual characters that we see in Fight Like a Girl. So to put into context, we see that there's lots of dark blues and such with this, and we'll soon see the fabric that I'm stitching on this as well. So I have Melbourne Demons. Their team colours are navy blue and red. I also have assigned to this piece the Brisbane Lions, and we can see the line towards the bottom of the page there. And then I also have the Blues. Their team colours, blue and white. As we're seeing, there's lots of blue and white in this particular piece. So that's where we've got the 3 different teams and why I've got so much stitching that I need to put into it. And as much as it sounds like I'm grumbling, I'm not. It's for some odd reason, for this particular week at least, or last couple of weeks, I've struggled to find the motivation to actually sit down and put time and effort into stitching this piece. At the moment, it feels a little bit because there's some colour changes that keep needing to happen. That's cool. That's part of why this piece is so cool. It was also me being a bit lazy and remembering that I had to get up and go back to my main stash of DMC thread to actually get out the colours that I needed. So it was me being lazy rather than anything else. So this is where I'm up to for Fight Like a Girl. I've been focusing where we see the blonde girl sitting down in front of some of the books for the J.K. Rowling books, and I'm stitching this on navy blue 18 count Ada, though this doesn't feel like Ada. This may have been some blue fabric that I had purchased years ago from a shop that I don't remember right now. My tingling senses want to say that it was from a shop down at Mogo, which is more of a patchwork quilting kind of store, but they do also have a great selection They have a small selection of cross-stitching stuff as well, and embroidery kind of things. So it could have been from there as well. So with this particular piece, when I did put some stitches into it, I think it was, I haven't got notes down exactly to say how many stitches I put into it. However, I did make note to say that I watched a movie on Netflix called Damsel, and it's a fairly recent movie, so within the last year or two. It has the actress Millie Bobby Brown. That's the wording I'm trying to come out with. I had a mental blank on what her name was initially, where I could remember that she was in is in the TV series Stranger Things, and then the movies of Enola Brown rather. And with the movie Damsel, it has a small amount of dialogue in it compared with other movies that Millie has been in, and it is a great movie for, I think, younger women, younger girls, not primary school age. So I'd say teenagers, or we're talking young adults. I think that would be the best market for this particular movie, because there is some violence, some gore, some blood that younger people may be a bit sensitive to. What I liked about this particular movie is the rather strong female girl power kind of messages that I picked up on when I was watching the movie. And what I love, and I'm dancing around a bit to try and not give away too much about this movie in terms of how it ends or anything like that. What I will say, and they say it at the start of this movie as well, is that it's not your typical, oh, woe is me, I need to be saved, kind of movie. It is, like I've mentioned, that girl power kind of scenario that is based around loosely some of the fairy tale type of movies that have been around, where you typically have your knight in shining armor that is on horseback charging on this mission to go and save the damsel in distress, when he didn't really need to. He didn't even try in this case. So it is a good movie if you want to sort of leave your brain at the door just a little bit and not overthink it, and just enjoy the girl power in the movie. It was good in that sense. So the next piece that I want to share with you, now that we've talked about the girl power and the cool thing of stitching on it while watching it, is a piece called Trio of Dogs, and this is a Luca S chart, or Luca S kit rather, that I've had in my stash for quite a while. I had bought the kit, I want to say via the Fox Collection website, catalogue, I can't remember. Anyway, this particular piece I've spent a fair bit of time on between now and when we last caught up. I've put well over 500, nearly 600, actually a bit over 600 stitches in it, and I'm really happy with the progress that I've made. So just before I share with you what I've actually stitched, I do want to note that I've now made a bit of a start on the Golden Labrador's ear that is just near the chocolate lab puppy, and it is very cute, and we will even potentially see the edge of the Golden Lab's eye. So it's all very cool. Now with this particular piece, I am using all of the called for colours and the fabric that came in the kit. My apologies for not ironing this one. I actually remembered that I had worked on it as part of the notes that I've made for this episode. Yeah, when it came to me actually getting my pieces together to share with you my progress, I completely forgot that I had it packed away in the bag that I'm storing it in. However, I am very happy with my progress on this one. Similar to Fight Like a Girl, I have put off putting some work into this piece, partly because of my headspace with stitching it, and also some of the gaps that you may see in the stitching where there should be some thread. I mucked up in the sense that about a year or so ago, maybe longer, I got really annoyed with how the threads were set up for this particular kit. I found, for the way that I stitch, it to be uncomfortable, and I decided to actually bobbinate the threads, and as part of the way that I was bobbinating the threads, I feel like I lost one of the colours that are important for this project, and I have searched things, I've searched through cushions and under couches and everything, and even with the move from Wollongong back here to Canberra, I didn't find the colour. I did find, however, a bobbin that I had missed in terms of bobbinating and all the rest. So it may actually be the colour that I'm looking for. Where I'm feeling uncertain is that its colour is near identical to another colour, and it may be the fact that it's not the colour that I'm missing. However, I am going to just accept things for the way they are, and I am just going to use the extra bobbin that I found and use it for the colour that I've missed. I could reach out to Luca S and Sherlock K. I have legitimately bought this kit. I don't know what I've done with colours, and they might be able to help me out to at least mention what the anchor thread number is, or something to that effect. We'll see how things go. But this again is where I'm up to. Also noting that with Trio of Dogs, I have it associated with the AFL team of Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs, yes. Blank on the name for a moment there, the Western Bulldogs. And I could have gone with their team colours, however, I do have quite a few charts and kits for dogs, and this was also a kit that my boyfriend had picked out, in the sense that I wanted to stitch something for him, and I gave him the choice of a few different puppy dog ones, and he picked the Labradors. So as much as I might grumble a little bit about the colours and stitching and all the rest, I need to remember that he chose this, and that it in the end will be a good thing. Okay, so the next piece that I have to share with you is called Zebras. I sometimes call it Rainbow Zebras. It's by Designworks. Again, this is a kit that I believe to have purchased through the Fox Collection magazine, and I'm using all of the called for colours, the fabric and everything that came in the kit. This is where I'm up to. I have put like a really small amount of stitching in since we last caught up, and I do need to put a lot more stitching in. I'm happy with its progress though. I love the rainbow colours. I love that it is different to a lot of the other stitching that I do, especially when it's following Trio of Dogs, where it's just got a lot of browns and muted tones in it. So it'll be good. Now with zebras, I've had a mental blank on who I have this assigned to. Sorry for rustling the things. Zebras, the Suns, of course. How could I forget? So the Gold Coast Suns, they are a Queensland team, and their colours are predominantly red and orange. However, with the Gold Coast Suns, Gold Coast is a very popular tourist destination for Australians and international peoples alike. So that's where I think it needed to have that rainbow of colours, because it is a fantastic holiday destination, noting that I am not trying to promote Queensland as holiday place. Queensland does a brilliant job on their own, they don't need my help. So it's just the fact that you've got such a variety of people at the Gold Coast, and I mean you can have that anywhere as well, but it's just the fact that I always think of summer and the Gold Coast and it just being a good place to go to, so that's why they've got the zebras. Okay, so let's get on to this finish that I have been talking a little bit about. Now, this finish is Apothecary Shope by the Witchy Stitcher. It is a piece that it was actually a lot of fun to stitch. I was amazed by how much I dived into this chart and into this project, and how much I enjoyed stitching it. So this particular piece has a lot of intentional and unintentional personalizations, and this is the finish. I stitched this on 18 count fabric, 18 count Ada called Pumpkin. That was hand dyed by the words are not coming to me right now, Apothecary Designs. So I love how this turned out, and with Apothecary Shope it was charted to be stitched just in a monochrome colour. However, as we can see, I chose to be colourful, and knowing that I wanted to stitch Apothecary Shope on this fabric, that's why I really wanted to make the most of the variegated threads that I have in my stash. And it was the Rainy Day it was colour, not Colour Cascades, colour something, colour works, colour something. Anyway, the purple thread was called Rainy Day, and that was the colour that I was waiting on to get a bit more of, because aside from Apothecary Shope, Rainy Day is also used in a couple of other projects, one of which I have on the floor, which is the Gilmore Girls Winter in Stars Hollow by the Black Needle Society. Now, I'm not going to go on a tangent. As part of me purchasing the extra thread for Rainy Day, I did get some extra DMC threads for Under the Sea, and then I also decided, similar to my last purchase from JK Stitching Supplies, these threads can't travel alone, so I decided that I'll get some more fabric, because hey, you can never have too much fabric, surely. Even though there have been times when I've thought, no, I've got enough fabric, it'll be fine, it's all good. So what I decided to purchase was some fabric called Purple Flowers. It's a 32 count even weave. Again, hand dyed by Paddock Lane Designs. I love, sorry for crinkles, I love this fabric. I think it is absolutely beautiful. It is fabric that I haven't quite decided what I'll stitch on as yet. I do have quite a few charts, patterns, kits and such that could work for that fabric, and I have no doubt that between now and when I do work on it, that my mind will change on a near regular basis for what I will actually stitch it on. So it is what it is. So that's it for the actual stitching, and what I will move on to next are my plans. So my plans, at least for the next week between now and when we next catch up, is a bucket load of stitching, and I have got jotted down in front of me the projects that I want to work on. So with zebras, for example, I am wanting to put at least 327 stitches into this. That will enable me to finish, something, but rather with the notes that I've got jotted down at the moment for the AFL Stitching Challenge that I've got, is I've jotted down in my book the numbers for rounds 2 to 10, I think it is. So I'll just double check. So yeah, rounds 2, but it was only 2 teams that I had jotted down for round 2 because I had already done my stitching for the other teams. So it is, yeah, rounds 2 to 10. So I know that I did hold up my book just briefly last week, but this is just an idea of how I'm keeping track with everything, noting that I do have a spreadsheet as well, and that can help me with, I guess, stats for later on if I do a whip parade or anything similar to that. And it's just, I find it easier to physically mark off the projects as I go. So the 327 stitches are for rounds 7 through to 10. Then the next project I need to put stitching on is Fight Like a Girl, and the stats that I've jotted down for it is a minimum of 326 stitches for Fight Like a Girl, again for rounds 7 to 10, noting that there are 3 teams assigned to that piece. Then Under the Sea, I'll insert cover pages somewhere. Under the Sea, again, is a piece that I've got jotted down a minimum of 94 stitches, and that's because of a team called the Blues. I really need to make an amendment. So for the Blues, I did say that I had them assigned to Fight Like a Girl because their team colours are blue and white. However, I've also got Under the Sea attributed to them. So either way, Under the Sea needs progress, and it is going to get there. It will be good. I know that I'll have the octopus fully finished this time next week because I've got all the colours that I need for it now, and I will hopefully get the back stitch done on it, and I will also be able to get some of the plants or whatever they're called for Under the Sea for that section of page stitched. Then Four Seasons Cats, I'll just grab the cover page. Okay, so for Four Seasons Cats, I need to get a minimum of 226 stitches put into this. I would love to think that this year I'll get it finished. That's not going to happen. It will be sometime next year that it will be done. I've also noted that I need to get 215 stitches done as a minimum for autumn leaves, and with autumn leaves this is my progress to date. I did restart this. I'm stitching it on 18 count black Ada, and I'm at a stage where it's got a lot of colour changes, so it may not get much love this week. We'll wait and see. I hope that I find some mojo and get into a really good flow state for that. The next piece I need to work on, I don't have pictures with me, is the black and white rolled up daisy. I need to get a minimum of 366 stitches for it. The good thing is I've got colours that I need now for that, and it should be fine. It should be all good. Now the next two pieces that I may get some stitching in, but I'm not holding out for it, is Country Threads Pelicans and a Stitch in Time. So I haven't jotted down the stats for how many stitches I need to put into them between now and next week, but we'll wait and see. In order for all of those projects to get the love and attention they need, I need to have many lazy days in a row to make it all happen. I'll get there, and that is it for the stitching. The one additional note that I did want to mention to do with next year's AFL Stitching Challenge was that with the fixture being released for the first few rounds, or at least the opening round for next year, which will be early March 2026, Swans and Blues are playing against each other, and that might not seem significant for people. What is significant for me is that during the off season, people get traded, people put their hands up to say, hey, I want to change teams, can I go to this team or that team, or whatever else happens. Just like many other sporting teams where that can happen. And the significance and what feels weird for me at the moment, and will feel weird for next year when, as I get used to some of the changes, a prominent player for the Blues, he's been part of that team for quite some time, has actually moved over to the Swans, and the two teams are playing against each other. So, I mean, it happens for a lot of players where they're playing against an old team or a previous team they'd been part of, and it's anticipated that there'll be some argy-bargy, some fisticuffs and all the rest that goes with it. And it's good that we've got this person in the team. I've just gotten so used to this person that I'm thinking of being part of a particular team, that for them to be part of any other team, it's like, I don't know, I hope things gel well. They are a good player, and Swans had an abysmal season last year, and I hope that this year is better, noting that they did have some pretty big changes happened to the team last year, where they had a new coach and just trying to gel again as a team, and all the rest that goes with that. So fingers crossed all goes well, and we'll wait and see. Next week I may even do a little bit of planning for what the projects will be for stitching with AFL Stitching Challenge, though that may happen sort of closer to that that timing, and we'll go from there. So until next time, I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you all for spending some time with me. I hope that you're able to get some progress on a project that you've been stitching on while I've been chattering away and mumbling away and all the rest that goes with it. And thankfully we haven't really had any thunderstorms or anything come through while we have been catching up and all the rest. So until next time, happy stitching everyone.